So this video is going to go through how to answer questions for data types such as quantitative and qualitative, and also exam questions for ethics. So we've got a scenario here which has been on a past paper before. So researchers conducted an experiment in a local coffee bar. They're trying to see whether or not receiving physical contact from someone increases rating of friendliness of the staff. It's taking place between 11 AM and 2 PM on a Wednesday, and once the member of public has left the coffee bar after paying, some of them being touched lightly on the upper arm by the cashier, whereas some were not. Once they're outside the coffee bar, they're asked to rate how friendly they think that the staff are. So the question says, describe the type of data collected in the study. So the data that's being collected is always the DV, the thing that's being measured. So the thing that they've measured here is how friendly they think the staff are. And they're doing it on a numerical scale of 1 to 10, so therefore it's quantitative data. So you would probably answer the question by recycling a little bit of it. So the type of data collected in this study is quantitative data as the people in the coffee bar are being asked to rate the staff's friendliness on a numerical scale (1 not friendly to 10 extremely friendly). So that there, you've said the type of data, so that's 1 mark. You've mentioned people in the coffee bar, and you've mentioned, I've mentioned extremely friendly and not friendly, so that's the context, and then we've mentioned that it's a numerical scale, which is the explanation of what quantitative data is. So that would get you 3 marks for that one. It says evaluate the use of this data. So in fact, probably start the use. So again, recycle the question. The use of quantitative data. Cannot type at all today. The use of quantitative data means that you can, if you think about quantitative data, the reason why it's good is because as it is objective, as it is objective, it is easier to analyse and make comparisons. But if I left it at that, I'd only get 2 marks out of 3 because there's no context. There's no context there. I don't know what the study's about from that answer, so there needs to be kind of some context in there. So the use of quantitative data means that this bit "it" here you can replace. So it means that as the numerical scale is objective, it is easier to analyse and make comparisons between the people's rating of the coffee shop staff's friendliness rating, as it doesn't require interpretation. So I'm thinking, if it interpretation, you think of like Freud's study, the letters that were sent to him by Little Hans's father about, the conversations that Little Hans's dad had with him about his phobia of horses and his fantasies and dreams about giraffes and things like that. They could have been interpreted by Freud in a subjective way, whereas this is not going to happen with this because it's a number, it's very objective, it's right or wrong, it's not going to happen. So the use of quantitative data means that as the numerical scale is objective, it's easy to analyse and make comparisons between the people's rating of the coffee shop staff's friendliness rating. That's a bit iffy, but it works, as it doesn't require interpretation. So you're basically getting 1 mark for suggesting that it's objective, which makes it easier to analyse. That's like, yeah. So the easy to analyse bit is 1 mark. The not requiring interpretation being objective is the other mark, so that's like further explanation. So this is your point, it's easy to analyse and make comparisons. This is your explanation because it's a numerical scale, it's objective and doesn't require interpretation. Just kind of split the explanation, and then I've sandwiched in between my context, which is the people's rating of the coffee shop staff's friendliness rating. In fact, it's the people's rating of the coffee shop staff's friendliness. Just need rating once. Get rid of that. So that'll get you 3 marks. So that's the data questions. These questions here are about ethics. So it says outline how each of the following ethical considerations could have been dealt with in the study. So right to withdraw. In order to allow the people in the coffee shop to withdraw, they need to be told that they're taking part in an experiment and that they can leave at any time. Or you could debrief them at the end and tell them that they can withdraw the results. You might want to do the bit at the end, because if you do it at the beginning, they're going to find out about the study and kind of they might show demand characteristics, so you probably don't want to do that. So you might suggest, so we could say right to withdraw could have been dealt with in this study by debriefing the participants, in fact debriefing the people in the coffee shop after they had rated the staff's friendliness and told them they had taken, right to withdraw could have been dealt with in the study by debriefing the people in the coffee shop after they'd rated the staff's friendliness and telling them that a study has, and then telling them that the study was to investigate if physical contact would affect this and if they would still like their results to be included or if they wanted them withdrawn. So basically what you're saying is that you're going to debrief them at the end after rating the friendliness and then give them that right to withdraw, so the results don't have to be in the study. You might want to just put as well without penalty, so the results could be included if they wanted or withdrawn without penalty. Informed consent. So this means in order for it to be informed, it's got to be told at the beginning of the study and then they've got to agree to take part of, with my apostrophe. That's bad, isn't it? After me going on about you lots to do that all the time. Okay, so informed consent. So people in the coffee shop would have to be told as they entered the shop. In fact, people would have to be told as they entered the coffee shop, and that will reduce time that it takes to do it because it's shorter, that they may be touched on the arm by the cashier and then asked to rate staff's friendliness. They must then agree to take part. You could put this would be displayed on a poster within sight, or on a poster at the till. People will be told as they enter the coffee shop that they may be touched on the arm. Unless this will be displayed on a poster at the till, they must then you could put they will agree. It will be assumed that after, well, they might not see it though, might they? They will then be asked by the cashier if they would like to take part. No, obviously they would probably never ask you that question in the exam, because if we were to give them informed consent in that way, they're going to show demand characteristics, or they're going to it's not going to be the natural behaviour because it's just silly. But the question's on there just to throw you and see if you can still answer. Deception. So how are you going to deal with that? So deception will be dealt with by informing the people who by informing the people who rated the staff's friendliness that they had just taken part in an experiment to see if physical touch affects friendliness. In fact, you could say it affects perceived friendliness of staff, and that the cashier had been acting ad purposely touched those that purposely touched certain people, some of the people. Section we dealt with by informing the people who raised the staff's friendliness that they'd just taken part in an experiment. So section we dealt with by informing the people who raised the staff's friendliness in a debrief that they had just taken part in an experiment to see physical touch affects perceived friendliness of staff, and that the cashier had purposely touched some of the people to investigate this. So there you go, pretty straightforward, not that difficult. Basically just wants to know how you can tell that it's a certain type of data that you've suggested. In this one, you know, whether it's good or bad. And then in this one, it's got to be, you know, in these here, you can tell what right to withdraw is, what informed consent is, what deception is, but it's also in context. That's what the second mark is for. So coffee shop, friendliness rating, coffee shop, touched on the arm by the cashier, staff's friendliness. You know, I can tell by looking at these answers what that scenario is about. I don't even have to look at it. If I was marking these, I wouldn't even have to look at that. I'd know straight away, so I'd know whether you got context or not. If you don't put it in and I can't tell what it's about, then I know immediately that you don't get that context mark. So you need to make sure that you put it in. I hope you find this helpful. And if you've got any questions about it, just let me know.